for this Stamp It Sunday, we are going to be using these gorgeous whimsy stamps. These are the Wee Stamps, and I've got this gorgeous little girl with her broomstick and a little baby dragon, and obviously a little witch outfit, and her name is Hazel, as in Witch Hazel, I guess. And I just think that's such a cute little stamp, so I thought that we would do that. Now I have here a piece of cardstock that was out of a centre of a die that I was cutting. I had an elaborate die around like a frame, and this piece was left from the centre, and I think our little Hazel will sit just perfectly in this. So I'm going to stamp her on there. If it doesn't work on that shape, then we can always put her on something else. So I haven't used her before, so we're taking her out the packet. Going to peel this off the back, hopefully. Always difficult to get hold of these things. There we go. And then we're going to stick her down on our little stamp, making sure I'm going to put her slightly higher up than centre, just because then I can use this line on the stamper to make sure she's nice and straight. I'm going to be using Memento ink in Tuxedo Black because I'm going to be using my Copics. So grab that out and just ink her. So we're going to put our piece of paper down there, or card. Now I know that that is straight, so I can now position her, and hopefully this is central, and then pop that down and then press really firmly to make sure that we get a good stamp. Hope for the best. Yay, it came out. Sometimes it just doesn't when you're on camera. Every other time it will work beautifully, but the time you do it on camera, you can bet your life it doesn't go right. Okay, so as you can see, she's absolutely scrumptious, so we'll just give that a few seconds to dry off, because even though it's Memento ink, you do want to just give it a little bit of drying time, just 5 minutes even, and then we're going to get colouring. So that's had a few minutes, so I'm trying to, for me, limit the number of colours to keep it a little bit more simplistic, because I do tend to go a bit crazy with the number of colours I use. So we're going to start off with the skin, and I've just picked out 2 skin tones, a darker one, she's going to be quite pale, so E00 and E11. So that's our skin white colour, and then that's our shadowing colour, and then a little blush colour for her cheeks, which is the R20. I'm going to go around where it would be highlighted. Now there'll be, sorry, shadowing. Now it'll be a little bit further down her face today because of the hat. So just a little bit more, and around on her elbows. And then I'm going to take my E00 and just going up to the edge of the other colour very lightly, so it just blends that edge in, but without going too much over what we've already done, because otherwise we'll move that colour out the way. So that is actually all her skin tone, and then I just want to put a little bit of blush on her cheeks, like so, and then you can just soften those edges a little bit by using your E11, just a little dotting around those edges. Those are our skin done, and now I'm going to do her hair. So for her hair I've gone for browns, and I've got E29, E37 and E33, so it's going to be sort of a warm, maybe heading towards a coppery tone, not quite copper, I don't know, but not like a flat plain brown. So we're going to start off with our E21. He calls it sepia, so I guess it's those sorts of tones. So again, round under her hat is going to be the darkest, so just very lightly under that area, just bringing this E29 and then just as we come into that curve and just under there, so just in the curls there's like a little dip, so we're just going in those dips, and then underneath in this area here would be a bit darker, and then probably in here as well, but a little bit more sort of. Now because it's a small drawing, we can do a little bit more at a time. Okay, so I'm just going to do that part. Now I'm going to get my E37. So I am going to very slightly go over the area that we went on here, just a little bit to blend that through a little. So just, again, just where we were, just leaving a small gap so that they leave a little bit for the other colour. And you're just sort of thinking, looking at the curls, well, where would it be darker? So the dips tend to be darker. So we just gently put that in. And then I'm going to take my E33, whoops, wrong end, and just go in the final little bits here. And don't get too hung up on it, to be honest. It's going to look good as long as you've got some shading and character to the hair. As you can see, it looks pretty. And then we're going to go to the back part of her head. So now it's going to be a little bit lighter in this section because it's coming out from under the hat. But obviously this part here, where it's coming from the hair that's already there, is going to be a little darker. So we just do some little there, little sort of stripy bits, and then round in these curves. Like so. And then we're going to take our E37 and again just almost little lines now. It's not like when you're doing this sort of curly hair, it's not like what you would do with other types of hair, because you can be a little bit more rough with it almost in how you're doing it. Rough, I don't know, a bit more casual. You can be really precise and you can do every little curve perfectly and really follow it and do it really sort of really put in each shadow. I tend to not worry too much about that. And then we're going to just fill in any gaps. And then on this edge piece here, I'm just going to make sure it's a little bit lighter. Like so. And then just to go back with my E29, just to add a little bit of extra dimension and depth. And again, all through here, just adding that extra. There. Okay, and then we're going to come over to the other side. So again, under this part here, it's going to be a little bit darker. So just there, then as you come away from where the hat would be, just be a little bit more loose. And then the next colour, so our E37 rather. And then lastly our E33. And then going back to the E29 where I just want to add that little bit of extra dimension, and also under there where it should have been a bit darker. And there we go. So that's her hair done. And I think that looks really effective. Okay, so now I think I will actually, while I've got those browns in my hand, I will do her little broomstick. She's got a bell and some feathers on, which I hadn't noticed, so I'll add those in a bit. I'll probably match that to the colours for the dragon. So I'm going to put down my E33. I don't want that one yet. And I'm going to be doing the actual stick part of the broomstick. So I'm going to start with my much darker colour, and up here and on the underside of the broomstick is going to be the darkest part. And then taking my E37 and then just going in on the top half, barely touching the bond on the bottom, like so. And then, you know, what I do want is some red, because I remember that broomsticks sometimes have this kind of red here. So we're going to put the, I'm going to then get my darker red, which, sorry, this was R27 and this one is R59. So I'm going to have the darker red underneath, just to shadow that out a bit. Perfect. Okay, so we'll now do the actual brush part of our broom. So I'm going to take my E33 and then my E11 from what I used on the skin. So I'm going to just take that part. And then go in with our E11. So that's going to be on the top. And then I think we do need just a slightly darker colour in here, just to add a little bit of dimension, and also on this part here to give it the look, sort of stubbly look that you would get on the bottom of a branch of the broom. So that is E37, and then I'm going to go back in again with my E33. I'm then going to get my cloth and my blender pen, and I'm just going to take a little piece of this cloth and I'm going to rub my blender pen so it wets the cloth, and then I'm just going to take my finger and very carefully just dot my blender pen over the edge there, and that will just create like some little dotty bits on the end there, which gives it a really nice effect, I think. Okay, so I think that's that part done. So now I want to do the little dragon and the feathers and bells. So let's just do the dragon first. So obviously we're going to do green for our little dragon. So I've got YG17 and YG13. Really nice colours. These are one of my favourites. This particular YG13 I really, really like. Okay, so let's do his little wings. Do you call them wings on a dragon? I don't know. And it's going to be darker on that underside. And then we're going to I'm going to put the YG17 back. That's not working for me. And I'm going to take the YG06. Let's take some of the colour out using the blender pen here, just so I can put the limier green in. So all I'm doing is just taking some of that colour out using the blender there. It just moves the colour. And then we'll just let that dry for a sec. Okay, so while that wing's drying, let's get on to his little body. So we've got the lighter sort of acidy green for that. And don't worry about that mess all around the edge, that will dry away. And I'm just going to use the blender pen again just to push some of that back. There we go. So it looks a bit of a mess at the moment with the blender pen, but it will soon settle. And then I'm going to use the yellow just for his tummy here and under his chin and in his ears, just to give him a bit of fun colouring. Okay, so we'll come back to him and show you what he looks like when all that's dry. Now we're going to do the feathers and the bells. So I'm just going to do, sorry, these are Y13 and Y18. So the darker colour here on the bell, like so, just make a gold bell. And then I'm going to go for green on my feathers. Brighter, darker green at the top, like so. There we go. So that will bring then the green across, and I might well put some green around her hat, but we're going to see about that. Now I'm going to work on her dress, because that's going to influence the rest of the colouring. No, I'm not. I'm going to do a hat first, actually. So we're going to do a nice big black witch's hat. So I've got 100, and then I went for some warmer greys rather than the cool greys, because I thought it's quite warm with the browns, and it's just a cute picture, so it just softens it down rather than makes it a bit cold and harsh. So I've got W7 and W5. So we're going to start with the black, and we're going to start in the areas that are going to be nice and dark, so in here, and in here. Okay, and it's going to be darker there because that's where her is meeting. And then we're going to use the W7. I'm going to bring that round, and it's going to be a bit darker on that side because it's nearer her head. And then we're going to take the W5, and it'll be a bit lighter there. But we don't want to go too pale. Whoops, can you see I just went on her skin there? So all you need to do is take the colour that we used for that, which was the E11, and just go over that area again, and it will just push that grey back for you. There we go. Okay, now I want to add a little bit more black because along here and on this actual piece, because it's just looking a little bit too pale. It's not looking like a black hat, it's looking like a grey hat. So then we're going to use my other colour just to blend in a bit more, and here, and then this one. And then I'm just going to go under here again. Now there is another black, and if you've got it you might find it useful at this point. It's 110, and it's a very black so you might find that's a handy just to have to go under here to really emphasize the hat. Okay, and then just going to do the point of the hat. So as I say, as much black as you can get away with, but without kind of making it just black and flat. There we go. So that's her hat finished. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to do her dress. So I'm going to do the main part of the dress in purple here and just round the edge part in black. So I'm going to do the black part first. So we're going to use the same three colours that we used before, which is the 100, W7 and W5. So we're going to start with our 100 and we're going to pop in the darkest areas. So it'll be here under her hair and just in there. And since it is meant to be black, we need to make sure there's enough black for it to look black, but still keep our shading. And that was W7 and now W5. And then just a tiny bit more black around the front there, that's better. And we're not going to put any W5 on the piece there because that was quite dark in there, because that's all under her hair. It's just a very light touch. And then just along the front of this section here. And then on the other side, actually I'm just going to go back in with the W7. And then I'm going to grab this brown that's from her hair and I'm just going to put that over the top there because that just went a bit interfered with the hair. So then going back to our 100. And then this piece here is going to be in the black. And then the W7. W5. And then we've got the clock in there, so I'm going to do that in these yellows just as if it's a gold clock. And I accidentally went over the chain, so I'm just going to go in with my blender pen and just try and clear a path of the chain, and then just taking the Y18 and just putting a little bit of that down there like that, so that'll be fine. And then I'm going to use the blender pen just to tidy that edge. So I've got VO9 and BVO2, and we'll see how that comes out for darkness levels. So we're going to start with the VO9. That's quite nice and dark. I think that's just fine. And then we're going to take the BVO2 and just add that in. Not entirely convinced by that colour, so let's try. Yeah, this is V15. I think that's better. That other one was too blue a tone, so this one definitely works better. Okay, and then we're going to go up. I've got BV08, and I'm just going to try that just to add a few really dark highlights just around some of these edgy bits where there will be extra creases. then we're gonna do the little part in her top here. So I'm gonna put the BVO2 away so I don't accidentally pick that up, and I'm gonna be working just with the VO9, V15 and BVO8. And so we're gonna go in with the VO9 first of all. And then the V15. And then for the darker highlights, so that would be around these edges. And there we go, we've got that one. Wrong one. That's why it doesn't look any darker. That's better. Okay, and then there we go. And then we're going to do the under part of her skirt. Now I want that to be quite dark, so I'm going to put the V15 away, down, and we're going to start with the BVO9. So we're going to then go in with the VO9. Okay, and these little white bits are like, she's got sort of mucky bits on her skirt, but I'm going to actually just take the black and just fill those in with the black. I don't want to put anything like green or anything on there. Perfect. Okay, so now, excuse me, I'm going to do the band on her hat. So I'm going to start off with the V18 on the buckle. And then I'm going to go to the V15 first of all, so we put that across the whole lot. And then the VO9. Then back to this one just to blend that out nicely. And then our dark one, BVO8, just for these little edgy bits. There we go. So that's her little hat done. So now we're going to go to her shoes and then her little stockings. So again, I'm just going to use the V18 for the buckles on the shoes. And black for, whoops, wrong end, for under here. I'm going to do black shoes anyway, so she's going to have dark in here. And then the W7. I'm not going to use the W5. got to try and differentiate here between the bottom of her shoe and the rest of it because it's not showing. That's better. Okay, so there is a little bit of difference now once that dries. Oh, I tell you what, I missed a little bit in her buckle here. There we go, that's better. Okay, so now I'm going to go to her little socks, and I want to do yellow and green for her socks. So I'm going to be taking my YG 13 and 17 and my Y18 and Y13. So let's start with green, I think, because I want that to be the most colour. So just a little bit round the edges where it would be darker. And then to the centre, brighten it up. And back on these edges again. There we go. And then the other side. Oops. Ah, I've done it again. Just get my marker cleanse. There we go, and then we'll go back now with this paler green. Well, I think it's more brighter than paler actually. And then just down the edges again. Hopefully the right edges this time. There we go, so that's our green, and then, as I say, then yellow. So I'm going to do the Y18 to the sides. And Y13 in the centre. And then going back again to the sides with our Y18. And that just highlights that a bit more. There we go. So that's her coloured in. So all I want to do now is put a little base around her feet. So I'm going to take my W3. I'm going to take the wide pen, and I'm just going to very carefully just give her something to stand on, because otherwise she looks a bit silly. Okay. So then that's the paler colour. And then we'll just go up to Y5 and we'll just add a little bit more, just more directly around her. Like so. There's our little Halloween lady all coloured in. So now we're going to go and put the card together. So I've done a lot of the work on the card already, so we'll just get the card and we'll finish that off. Okay, so let me tell you what I've done so far. So I've taken an A4 piece of black cardstock, scored it and folded it in half to create an A5 landscape card. I then printed off from NitWit's design. I had a mixture of Halloween papers and elements and stuff from NitWits on their digital stuff. So I printed off some papers and I cut those into 2 elements. Now you can see the papers on this side more clearly, but on this side, I'm hoping you'll catch it, there's, come on light, there we go. I think you can just see I've embossed a cobweb design, and it's the Cuttlebug cobweb spiderweb design. And I should have done both pieces at the same time, it would have been easier, but I did do it separately, but I managed to line them up so it looks like one design, and that's going to be fine on that half because this half's going to have our image on. So I've embossed it on that side. I then took one of the NitWit borders and I filled in the background of it using my Photoshop elements, and I just flood filled behind the border to create the same colour as my paper. Now this paper was originally green and I just used the hue and saturation button on the Photoshop to change it to a purpley colour, and then sorry, because of the glue it's slightly bending, and then I matched the purple on Trick or Treat here. I then mounted the Trick or Treat onto a piece of black cardstock. I mounted then onto the main cardstock a piece of green, a piece of purple, then my 2 pieces of paper that were embossed, and that's what we've done on there. And then on the inside another piece of paper that was printed out just to create a nice inside to the card. I then also printed this little bat design from the NitWits, and also these 2 little pumpkins, which I'm hoping you can see okay. And as you can see, I've put glossy accents on them, and the pumpkins, I used some spare little leaves that I had from a cutout that I'm going to show you in a second of Spellbinders, and I just attached them to the top there. And also you can see I cut a little purple bow out for both of them. They had it on them, but I just emphasised it once I added the extra leaves, and then I added a little pearl in the centre, and I think the accents really add something to it. So we've got those for decoration. I've also, as I said, I cut out the leaves, this corner from the Die Delights, it's corner sprigs, and I cut out the corner one there out of the green. I also cut out this piece here, which is what I cut up to use for my little pumpkins there. So we've got that. As I said, that's your corner sprigs. And I added I put some holes in my pumpkins. I added some string, baker's twine, and just put a little bow at the top, so I'm hoping to be able to put those on there. They may or not work, I haven't convinced whether or not they're going to be right yet, but if not, I'm sure I'll use them for something else. I then cut a piece of black cardstock to mat under our image, and I took the corners and chomped them, and then as you can see it looks a mess, but I took some organza in black and put about 4 layers on using my gel glue, and then when I put my image on, you're obviously only going to see like the organza sort of poking out the sides, so that's just going to give it a little bit something extra. So now really, as I say, we've done most of the work. The card tends to bend a little bit once you use the glues. When you use wet glues, it tends to shrink them down, so you sometimes just need to give it a little stretch the other direction. Anyway, so let's now get started putting our final elements on the card. So the first thing I want to do is attach this to my card base. Now normally you might put your image on first, but because it's going to be quite gooey and to press this down, it will make it a bit difficult, I think. So I'm going to do it the other way around. So I'm just going to use glue gel, as always. Now there's this bump in the middle with my border because it's very slightly raised, so I'm just going to have to make sure, I don't particularly want much height on this element, but I need to make sure there's just enough to cover over, you know, to allow it to sit flat over that bump. Okay, so put that on. I don't think there's any particular way up, and then we'll place that in position just with a little bit of the border etc on the edge there, and even though I left that overnight it still feels sticky. I'm sure it isn't, but it feels it. Okay, and then just making sure that that's nicely done, and then we're going to take our image. Now I was just trying to think whether I want to just put a little bit of ink just around the edges, and I think I do. Got this gorgeous lime green colour box ink pad, so I'm just going to take a sponge and just very lightly just ink slightly the wrong tone. Let's see if the other one's a little bit better. That's better. This one's moss green, so it's just slightly greenier. And obviously it'll have a little element of the lime in it as well, because we had that on the sponge already. I think that looks a lot better having that done there. Okay, so now I want to put this onto our black here. So I need to put glue gel on it, but also, oops, I'm not going to put it on there. I also want to make sure when I do put it down that the pieces of organza are just coming out the sides properly, that I haven't folded them under or anything. So we're just going to make sure they're all sitting nicely like so, because we want them not sort of like masses, but just enough sticking out to give that kind of edge to it, which looks really cool. Let me see if I can bring that. Hopefully you can just see the organza just coming out the edges there. Okay, so that's that bit done, and then I wanted to put this just in the corner here, like so, just creating a little corner. Now I don't want it completely covering, like right over like that, I just want that on the edges. So what I'm going to do is I've got my excuse me, Cosmic Shimmer Glue, and I'm just going to do kind of up to the branch. Okay. And then just taking that and positioning it like so. And again, I think that just adds a little something to it. Okay, so then I need to, I was going to put my little bat up in the corner there, and that adds a little bit of purple up there. And I was going to put my pumpkins, but I don't want to cover that bat if possible, but I was going to put my pumpkins kind of like this on here. Okay, so I fiddle around with the positioning on these, so I'm going to pop these down while I've got them where I want them. So just pop that one down there, and then grab another blob of glue, pop that down there. And then take a smaller piece of glue and just pop it on the back of my bow so I can just gently position the bow where it needs to go. There we go. Okay, so that's my pumpkins positioned, and then I want to put that in this corner. So I'm just going to put that down like so. I've just got a couple of black pearl hat pins, so I just want to grab those. Oops, if don't want them to come out, they don't want to play and they're pretty sharp. There we go. And I want to pop those in here. And the problem is getting through because the Trick or Treat glue is actually now dry. There we go. Let's just push that one in a bit, that's it. There. So there's some hat pins there. And then just one thing else, I want to add some pearls in each of the 4 corners here. Go. Okay, so the last thing that I did was I cut this little cute spider from my Cricut, and this is Doodle Charms. I cut it at 1.5 inches and I added the googly eyes. So I just want to pop him on here so that he's on his little spider's web. So again, just for that, all I'm going to do is use a blob of my glue gel and then we are done, I think. So just a blob of glue gel, I'm going to pop it down on the card and I'm going to just pop it on like so. I'm just making sure his legs are over, so actually I'm going to just whip him off again and add a little bit more. And just stick that down there. Ah. There we go, that's better. And then by the time that glue's dried, that'll be lovely and stable and secure. So that is our card finished. There we go. So this is a cute image stamped, and we coloured it in, and I think I love the purple and the green together, but with that, just that little pop of orange is just really nice. It brings in kind of the browns there, and I hope you like it as much as I do. I have to say, about halfway through there I wasn't sure if it was going to come out right, but I'm really pleased now with the finished results. So here's the outside, and then just nice and simple on the inside, and it with our Halloween writing paper. So I hope you like it. I'd love to hear your comments, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.